Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How you guys doing this week? Hope you are enjoying following along with our Stranger Things rewatch here. We are now up to season 2, chapter 2 of Stranger Things, where we get some trick-or-treating.
Yeah, that's right. We're right in the Halloween mode already with our Stranger Things group, which is right on time.
It is right on time. Have you had trick-or-treaters come to your house? Do you have a lot of trick-or-treaters at your place?
We have a few, but not a lot, because we're kind of off of a really busy road. And so a lot of the kids in our area will go to more central locations, either at their schools, they'll have events, or like in the mall. So that's really... We don't really live in the prime neighborhood for trick-or-treaters. And I know you guys being on a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
How is the trick-or-treating at your house?
So it's funny, when we moved in here, which has now been quite a while, there were a lot of older people who lived on the street, and they didn't want to have a lot of trick-or-treaters down. So what they did was they said, well, we're going to do our own trick-or-treat, like on a different day. And then the kids of the neighborhood can go like house to house. And there's only like, a handful of them. But then they go house to house and they go trick-or-treating within the neighborhood. And that way all of the neighbors can kind of, see the kids that they know. And they all then make like these like significant things to like give out like these bags of candy that they hand out. So they end up getting like a ton of candy from just a handful of houses. But they go see everybody, and then on like the actual trick-or-treat night, like everybody's got their lights off, so nobody's coming down the street.
Oh my!
It's kind of funny. Now we're getting to the point where there are now more kids on the street, where there are like the older generation who kind of set that plan in place. So it'll be interesting to see if this changes throughout time. But we're kind of at a tipping point now, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, and you'd think if they had gotten that much candy for, like, the few kids in your street to gather, then why not just...
it's not like
take a couple pieces and then open it up for whoever wants to come down the street.
Yeah, it's definitely not, like, saving anybody financially here, right? Like, there's still... That's not... I don't think that's the motivation. Yeah. I think... the motivation was to keep that riffraff out of the neighborhood.
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's like, I love everyone comes up with their own little rules when it comes to stuff like that, right? Like the outsiders coming in, like, who knows? Oh,
yeah,
gosh,
listen,
so
our neighborhood's not so, like, we live in a cul-de-sac that is also off a, relatively significant street that nobody is trick-or-treating on that main drag anyway. So I don't know that we'd get a whole lot of people coming down our street to begin with. So that being said, it works out nicely because our kids go trick-or-treating on one day and then they go somewhere else and do it again on the actual trick-or-treat day, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, while it is cool that we're talking about a Stranger Things Halloween episode, we really don't get any Friends Halloween episodes, do we? Or wait.
No, there's definitely at least one.
We do, because now I'm picturing like Phoebe dressed up as Superwoman.
Yeah.
Or Superman, but as a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get Spudnik.
That's right. Yes, of course. Well, the timing wasn't as good, I guess, for those episodes to appear,
No, those are much later. Those are much
on
later.
Our rewatch. Yeah. So just as a reminder there, like if anyone who's listening to the Stranger Things podcast is also really into Friends, Eric and I love recapping and rewatching Friends episodes, which we've been also doing a couple times a week. So we hope to have you guys join us over there as well. But today, so just to recap where we were in season 1, chapter 1 of Stranger Things, we took a pretty sharp turn, starting things off by introducing a new group of kids, and at least one of those kids has powers similar to 11. We didn't really get a lot of information about them, and we still don't.
No, that was about it.
That was really it. So it is a little bit awkward, in my opinion. It just doesn't really, like, you don't really know where it's going yet. But we just got the sense that, hey, they're out there, right?
They're
and that's
out there.
all we know so far. But back in Hawkins, Dustin and Lucas were tracking the moves of the new girl, Max, in town, because she has now beat Dustin in his top score of Dig Dug. And she has a hot-headed older brother. We haven't really been introduced to him too much yet, but we'll learn much more about him today. Mike was continuing to try to contact 11 with no luck, but he's also getting into trouble and acting out. Nancy and Steve, they're saying I love you to each other. Their relationship really seems to be progressing. But Jonathan is also struggling with trying to figure out his direction in life, where he wants to go. And Jonathan is continuing to catch Nancy's eye, I would say. Joyce and Hopper were also bringing Will to the Department of Energy. And at the end of the episode, we learned that Hopper is keeping 11 safe in a cabin in the woods, which was a pretty big surprise to everyone. So it was a really, again, as with every Stranger Things episode, there was a lot that got packed in to that one. And there's a lot that we're going to be getting into today as well.
It was really a big setup episode because it introduced a lot of new characters very briefly.
Yes.
And it, started to set the ball in motion. And throughout the entire episode, you're like, okay, so this is going to be like Life Without 11. And then 11 shows up right at the end again. And it's like, oh, okay. And I like that because then they get to start this episode with, well, how did she get there?
That's right.
And that's how this one kicks off.
And these days, you never really know when a main character might just be killed off regardless. Like someone that you think is critical to the show might just be gone. I feel like that does happen a lot more now in shows that are less predictable than maybe they once were. I don't know how you feel about that, but it seems
absolutely.
that way to me.
Listen, I was a big Game of Thrones fan. I watched that.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That one for sure. They had no hesitation just taking out main characters that you thought you were building like multi-year long relationships, understanding their whole story, and then boom, gone, out.
Sean Bean.
And it's like,
here and gone. Yeah.
Wow, that was maybe one of the most shocking TV deaths. Like that one right at the end of season 1 for that one. But
maybe that did kind of set the stage for a different way of looking at television. I don't know. I feel like that show really did impact a lot of.
But I don't think they're alone in that. Where shows will now be a little bit more likely to just eliminate main characters because they want to be more unpredictable. Not necessarily a sitcom, but like the dramas.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, it all depends on whether or not the show is successful and if they want to keep making the show, but the actor doesn't want to do the show anymore. Well, that also comes into play.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's that too. All sorts of issues. It might just, it might not always be the intended plot line, but things just happen with the actor. But today we are talking about season 2, chapter 2. It's called Trick or Treat Freak.
Yes.
So we kick things off with Elle in the Upside Down, and this is where we're really learning what happened to her immediately after she destroyed the demogorgon. So we're with her in the Upside Down, and she's just calling and screaming for Mike in the halls of the school. And she's seeing this red glow in the distance, and she starts moving slowly toward it, and it is glowing light, and we're realizing it's the other side of the gate, but she is moving slowly toward it. And then she's seeing lights, and we're realizing these are the cops' flashlights on the other side of this portal, and they're shining through. And after she can kind of see them pass by, she's now reaching her arm through the gate and pulling her arm out. It is just covered in goop, but she's like, you know what? I am going to make this area larger with my powers. So she's breaking down all the bricks around the gate and then climbing through this portal. Because she knows this is my way back through to the other side. So, I gotta say, Eric, just as I know that this is not a comedy in general, but this scene, not to get gross for everyone, but this scene just reminded me so much. I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan, and it just reminded me of Ace Ventura 2 when Jim Carrey was climbing out of the fake rhinoceros at the
I mean that is the vibe that it gave, except a little bit less humorous.
Yeah, there was a lot of like rebirth symbolism here, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's some truth to that, right? Like the idea of being like put back into the world, right? Like that's the sort of symbolism that I think they're going for.
Yeah.
That being said, what caught my eye was, okay, this is 11 is walking through this portal into the hallways at Hawkins School and is going through the same portal that the demogorgon opened up when it came through and like attacked all those people. That is the spot in the hallway that it came through. It came right through the end of the hall, right through that mascot like symbol on the wall. So does that mean that anywhere that anywhere where anything comes through from the other side now opens a new gate?
Right.
Like, are there gates now in the buyer's house?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that. I don't. Yeah. I haven't watched season 2 or season 3 more than once, I think. So I don't remember if that's the case or not.
Yeah, and I'm right. That part is like, do we learn specifically how gates end up being formed?
Or like, what happened to the gate in the tree? Is that still there?
Well, right. Like we had kind of talked about, to me, I was almost interpreting it as like they're one time. Some of these portals are almost just like you use it once and then it's gone, because then you'd see it
closes up. And it never,
But then there's other ones that, like this one at the Department of Energy, that seems to be the core gate, like the main gate that the others are bridging off of. So
that one seems to be like, if you shut that thing down, you might shut them all down.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's the vibe I get from that.
But
it also seems impossible to close.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, exactly. It almost seems like that one is not really in our control any longer. So it has a life of its own. So So.
And I certainly wouldn't want to be on the other side when that gate closes down.
Right. Right. So after Elle emerges from this portal, she's then going right to the Wheeler's house, right? Because she's wanting to reconnect with Mike.
Makes sense.
But as she arrives there are like 4 or 5 cop cars with their lights on right outside the Wheeler's house. They're everywhere. And so she's sort of hanging back. And then as she creeps closer, then we get inside the Wheeler's house as viewers. Elle is staying outside. But then you have Mrs. Wheeler kind of, because they're talking with all the cops, and she's kind of asking like, well, what about the Russians? Is this the Russians? Mr. Wheeler is saying, oh yeah, top secret, understood, like salutes exactly.
We're all patriots in this house.
Yeah, Eric is saluting at me through the camera, and yeah, that's exactly what I have a note of that too. I'm like, oh Lord, like Mr. Wheeler, it's just, Yeah.
I mean, I understand the thought process, though. Like, I totally...
I get it. He's being patriotic.
For all the crap that we're going to give him...
I know.
Like, he represents a significant chunk of people.
Yeah.
Especially at this time period.
It's exactly right. Yes. And it was just assumed that everything was about the Russians. And to be fair, Eric, right? Like, we learned the whole reason why Elle even has her powers and created this portal is because it seemed to me that the Department of Energy was trying to find a way to spy on the Russians. So this really is related to them. It just took on a life of its own, and here we are.
Yeah, like I still question that side of the story a little bit. Like, we don't really know what the whole Department of Energy was doing. We know what Dr. Brenner was doing. Yeah. And the question is that what the Department of Energy did, or is that just like a rogue doctor with his like band of misfits inside a larger department? That's kind of how I always looked at that.
Yeah.
But it may be the entire department just doing these sorts of experiments, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they certainly seem to be a department that was left alone to their own devices.
Yeah. Well, Mike is being much more combative with his responses to the cops, saying, even if I did know where she was, I would never tell you. And, they're telling Mike that she's dangerous and trying to, I think, get his guard down a bit, but he's not having that. And, as they're talking to him, there is this scene where Elle has gotten really close to the house now, and Mike is looking out the window, and they make eye contact, but he doesn't say a word, but the cops can tell that Mike has seen something outside of the window, because all of a sudden they're outside swarming around the perimeter, but Elle is gone.
Or at least he thinks he has.
It's true. They leave it open. Yeah.
They definitely leave it open to interpretation. Yeah. And he mentions it later in the episode that he feels like he sees her every now and then, but she's never there. Yeah. And it's like, right, because she is there, but he's not actually truly seeing her, but he did. And he didn't realize it. And
you can imagine if you've gone through something as insane as what they just went through, you're kind of questioning, what am I seeing? Like, is it there? Is it not there? Like, what's going on, right? Because...
Oh, listen.
This has been the most eventful couple weeks of Mike Wheeler's life, for sure.
So, short story, like, I grew up in New Hampshire, moved out to Ohio. When I moved out to Ohio...
Wait, you grew up in New Hampshire?
And sure did. And when I moved out to Ohio, I would be walking in the grocery store and see somebody and be like, oh, is that so-and-so from high school? And the answer is, no, it's definitely not. No one else from my school is here. I'm the only one here. But you still think that. And all of a sudden, I kept thinking that I was going to run into people that I knew from my life that were never there, but they might have resembled that person a little bit, but it was definitely not them. And you start thinking that until, of course, you're here long enough and you do meet all the people and you do know all the people that are at these places and you find, you find that. But it's definitely something where your mind will play tricks on you, where you think that you're seeing things that you're not seeing, even when it's not traumatic.
That's right.
Even when you're just in a different spot and you think like, oh, is that? Oh, no.
Oh my
no,
gosh,
it's not.
that's so...
It's very similarly to the way that Nancy thought she saw Barb later in this episode.
Oh, that is so true. Our brain is always trying to make connections, I think, to something that we're familiar with, right? And it's like, oh, hey, this person kind of looks like them. And that's a great point, Eric. Nancy sees someone with short red hair, their back is turned, and imagines that it is Barb. But so this right up until this point where the cops are then swarming around outside, then we have the credits roll for so that's just the intro sequence for this episode.
When Elle is able to successfully navigate hiding from them into the woods.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She gets away. Because then we're with Hopper making some bacon. And Elle has a sheet on because she's just pretending to be a ghost. So she has a sheet over her head. And it's clear that she really wants to go trick-or-treating. She, I guess, is... maybe through movies or something that she's watched in the house, like, put that together that now this is the time where, like, kids get dressed up and they go around and try to get candy, and she's trying to convince Hopper, you know, they won't see me, the bad men.
I think she's also probably just trying to get out of the house.
Well, it's true, but how else would she have found out about
how does she know
trick-or-treating? You know what I mean? Yeah, so...
that's a good point, unless it's conversations with Hopper and just talking about what happens. But, like, there's definitely a sense that now, okay, she's been here for a while.
Yes. Right.
Like, she's been in this house for a while. We still aren't sure how she got to Hopper or in this cabin situation, but we do know that she is she's looking to get out and have a little fun without being seen by putting on a costume.
And it seems like, which is fair enough, it almost seems like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity, right? But Hopper doesn't want to let her go. You know, he says, which I guess has become part of their mantra, we don't take risks that are stupid. And we are not stupid, says Elle. So it's like, all right, exactly. Yeah. So he's just having to always remind her, like, we're not taking risks. We're not those people because I need to keep you safe. But it's kind of like, Hopper, what's your long-term goal here? Like, what's the plan? You know, we don't really know.
Fair. But this also has to play into Hopper and his mindset of having lost a daughter before and not wanting to risk anything.
Yes.
Like, now he has, like, almost a second chance at being a father to a little girl. Yes. And he's not going to mess it up.
Well, this is really making me, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of, have you seen the show The Last of Us?
Bits and pieces, but not the whole thing.
It was based off a video game, and it's all about the protagonist. He loses his daughter, but then ends up connecting with this other girl and takes care of her, and he is just very, very strict with, like, wanting to keep her safe. Such a great show. If you guys haven't seen it, oh my goodness. Or the game is also really good, although it's a little... I like to play less scary games. It is very intense. I watch Pedro play it and I'll, like, jump in here and there, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so scary. But yeah.
I've heard very good things about the video game and also about the show. And like I said, I've only seen, like, snippets, like never really a full episode. So
it's very good.
Well,
oh my goodness. We should maybe, and then I can put it on my rewatch list and make you watch it again.
We can put it on. I'll have to watch it twice.
Exactly.
Okay.
So back to this episode though. So Hopper's just suggesting to Elle, like, hey, eat some candy. You know, we can watch a movie. Let's have a compromise. And he's explaining to Elle what a compromise means and uses the word promise, you know, and sort of meeting. It's like being halfway happy. I love that description. I'm like, that.
Great term.
That was good.
Like, I have used that in the word compromise comes up in my classroom quite a bit. And, understanding halfway happy. That's not exactly the phrasing that I use to describe it, but it is fairly accurate. And the idea that you're explaining this to somebody and learning the word compromise and knowing that, you know, you don't get everything you want, but you get some of what you want, like, that works out well. And, you know, that's a huge part to getting Elle to want to stay in and not risk going out.
Yeah. And we're back at the Byers' house where Will is drawing this amazing picture of the spider demon that's how I'm referring to it as, from his new visions. Well, what he thinks are his visions. And Joyce is concerned as she's looking at this, but he's telling her, it's just a character and a story that I'm working on, which, hey, that could be completely valid, but Joyce is sort of, her spidey sense is up a bit here.
Yeah, we all know that's not true. We all know that's not true, Will.
And then we have, now we're seeing all the boys are dressed up as the Ghostbusters, which is really great. Love the Ghostbusters. And
it's like a little 80s montage of
good.
like each of them getting their like Ghostbusters uniform or costumes on, and like photo shoots with mom, which at this point then we get to meet Lucas's mom and Erica.
Yeah. Yes. That's right. And they're all excited to arrive at school, but no one else is dressed up. Yeah, it's like
this is
I think they should have brought a change of clothes or had regular clothes underneath the jumpsuit. Not great. So they're like, oh boy, here we go. And they're walking through the halls, and Dustin and Lucas want to talk to Max, but decide to wait until after class. Hop is at Joyce's house then, and he's saying they aren't nightmares, they're flashbacks when talking about Will's visions, right? So they're trying to still understand what type of PTSD is this, or is it PTSD or something else? And that's how they're understanding it currently. So he's trying to explain that to Joyce. And they're saying that they think the doctor is right about trauma and that they're coming up on a year. So it will get better in time. I think he's just trying to like ease Joyce's mind.
Joyce also wants to go see another doctor, and he's like, well, there's no point in this. Like, what? Like, none of them are going to know the answer to this. Like, this is a waste of your money and a waste of your time. And then he gives the quote, nothing is going to go back to the way things were, but it will get better in time. And that's just kind of the truth to this whole thing. Like, there is no going back to the way things were, which is kind of like my implication at the very end of season 1, when it seemed like everybody just like went back to normal life. I'm like, how do you go back to normal life knowing the upside down exists? You just can't even do that. And and I don't know what I would do if I knew there was a real upside down. If I found out that existed in our real current world, how does that change my life? I don't know, but I'm sure it does. There's no way that you're just walking around like, oh, okay, that's cool. Let me go on about my business. There's got to be something that changes because of that, and so that's where they're at right now.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that line too is that this is also a moment where they're sharing a cigarette under the steps, just like old times.
Yep.
And they're kind of laughing about it for a minute, I think just reminiscing. But again, it's like things can't just go back to the way that things were, right? And I think you just have this little hint of a spark between them.
Yep.
But then Joyce's mind is obviously just completely on Will, and she just wants this to be over, for him and for all of them, really. This experience with the upside down. But then we have this really short scene with guys in hazmat suits again entering the gate.
Yep.
And this time they're actually recording the upside down, which is really crazy to see. Like, you just see them with gear where they're able to project what they're seeing in the upside down on these screens for the doctor. And it's noteworthy too that this lab tech is going through the wall and he's walking out towards this thing that looks like it is just a stack of satellites where they are able to gather information and send it back to the other side. And there's a battery in it, at least that's what I took it to be, that has been completely, just absolutely destroyed. And he's got a new pack, sets the pack in, and in the last episode, we had seen like the switchboard just go absolutely bananas. And now that same switchboard lights back up, it's all good, and now their satellites are back online. And
This to me just represents the idea of, okay, we've got growth here. We can now see what's in the upside down without actually being there. Or we can at least hear or project. We have these satellites that are positioned on the other side. So somehow they're able to get information from that side without actually being present.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That I think is surprising to see for sure. And then we're back at the school with Nancy where this is the scene where she's seeing a person who looks a whole lot like Barb from behind. She's seeing her short red hair and she's hearing her voice too. She's then remembering, things that Barb had said to her right before she went missing. And then Steve comes up to her and, Nancy is saying to Steve that she can't keep doing this, pretending that everything is okay and forgetting about Barb. And Nancy wants to tell the truth. Like she wants to, I think really after that dinner, spending that time with with Barb's parents, and hearing how they're selling their house just to have the money to pay the guy who is investigating into Barb's disappearance. It's like, everything is just falling apart. And I think Nancy is feeling really bad about that and just really wants the truth of everything to come out. But Steve is reminding her, this isn't a game, Nancy, right? Like they could put us in jail or destroy our families because this is a whole government agency and we've agreed to this. So and so Nancy is struggling really because she's hearing the phrase, Nancy, this isn't you, which is important too, because it's one of the last things she ever heard Barb say. And also it represents that, the message from the beyond being like that Nancy has to be herself. She has to follow her heart here. However, Steve is being the logical one. Yeah.
Like, just because you feel bad, you've made this agreement and you can't say anything. So, I know that's going to be difficult, but you can't risk what would come if you start telling people. Well,
for what it's worth, Nancy really didn't agree to anything. This is just the situation that's been agreed upon for her, right? It's like, hey, this is what we're doing. It's
fair. Well, but in that you've now agreed to it. You've agreed to it by proxy of, hey, you're still alive here. So you get to have this. And, the funny thing is I thought if anybody didn't have if anybody didn't have skin in the game here,
sure,
it was Steve.
Yeah.
Steve had no idea about any of
Mm-hmm.
this until literally the end of the season when he then runs back into the house. But he doesn't know there's any sort of agreement at hand. And of course,
true.
neither really do Nancy and Jonathan at the time where they're fighting the demogorgon in the house. But they certainly find out about it afterwards.
It's true, because if Steve was the type of guy that he was kind of initially portrayed as, he could have easily just gone running back to his parents or whoever and just said, this is what really happened. This is what went down. But
that word would have got out so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been out so fast.
But also it's kind of like, who's going to buy that? Like anyone who hadn't been directly connected, that just sounds like crazy town. So
that's the other side of it. Who's really going to believe this story?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. So,
and especially here's the thing. If you go and start telling that story and you're like, no, all these people here know the story is true and they all tell the story. Most of it is the buyers and the kids that are losers at the school.
Yes.
No one's backing this.
I know.
No one's buying this.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Because you have Joyce, who everyone already thinks is crazy.
That's right.
It's like, yeah, it's not going to be an easy sell for Steve anyway. But I do like to think that Steve, he was keeping it a secret, though, for the right reasons. I really think that he was doing the right thing here and trying to do the right thing.
The irony is the one person who could really like convince people that it's true is Hopper.
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to, you could spin Hopper as this alcoholic character who is not like a really good detective who's just, biding his time, not doing anything like, oh, they gave up the search for Barb. You already know Barb's parents think he's a waste of time.
Exactly.
And so, like,
exactly.
Who of this band of misfits can actually convince the public that, oh, yeah, this is for real?
Right.
None of them.
Right.
None of them.
Right. And then back at the school, we have Lucas and Dustin approaching Max and introducing themselves. And she's like, yeah, I know you, the stalkers. And, I didn't realize it was such an honor to go trick-or-treating with you guys because they're inviting her to go with them. And it's like, oh, you can come with us if you want to type thing. And it's like, okay, you're allowed to, you have permission.
Yes, we voted. And we voted that you're allowed.
Yes. And although Mike didn't know, which will come up later in the episode, but, so Dustin is kind of calling after her, so you'll come? And, he's yelling down the hall where they're going to be meeting and at 7 o'clock. And yeah.
Well, when she says, well, that's awfully presumptuous of you.
Yeah.
And they both kind of sit and are like, And then Dustin just powers through it. Like, that's presumptuous is a good thing because he has no idea. He's like, okay, well, we'll see you this time. And then he turns to Lucas. He's like, presumptuous. He's like, that's a good thing, right? And Lucas is in the know. And he's like looking at him like, come on, man. Like, that's not happening. She's never coming. But they wander on to class anyway with Dustin chasing after Lucas, trying to figure out what presumptuous means.
That's and Elle is watching TV in the cabin, and she hears something at the window and sees a squirrel. And
do you know what show she landed on?
Oh, I didn't make note of that, and I'm not remembering what show.
So she was flipping through like different shows, and then she stopped on a show and was like quoting the show back to the TV. I couldn't pick it out.
Okay.
But my wife Tina knew what it was immediately. It was All My Children.
Oh, it was a soap. Okay.
It was a soap opera. And
oh my goodness.
Tina used to watch Days of Our Lives all the time. So she's much more into the soaps, or knew what they at least were.
Yes.
I couldn't have told you to save my life what show that was.
So
but
we're making a
she was trying
connection here. Soap
there you go. She was trying to quote back what the girl was saying.
Yes.
And I feel like this was like what I have heard. People who speak a foreign language will come and watch television and learn English through watching shows and watching TV this way. And so it reminded me of someone who's trying to do that.
Yep.
Like 11 clearly doesn't have a super great grasp of English yet.
Yeah.
She can speak, but she only knows so much of it.
Yep.
And so this seems to be the way that she is learning how to communicate a little bit better.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Pedro grew up in Puerto Rico, only speaking Spanish, but then had English lessons in class in school, but also did experience that firsthand, where it's like, hey, watching movies, watching shows, like that's kind of where you develop that conversational experience when you're not immersed in it. So yeah, true, and that's such a good point. And then, but when she hears sees the squirrel tapping at the window, we're then in this flashback with Elle where she was in the woods and she had to slam a squirrel into a tree with her powers so that she could eat, because remember, like, this is where she's left the Wheeler's house and she's just kind of wandering through the woods, probably trying to figure out, like, where am I going from here? right? And you know, this hunter comes out of nowhere, and he sees her when she's cooking the squirrel over a fire, and he's asking her name. Well, she then decides she's seeing him kind of bundled up in a jacket. He has a weapon, and she's starving at this point. You can only assume, right? So she slams the squirrel, this like burning squirrel that she has just sent flying through the air, knocking the hunter down so that she can then take his coat and hat and just run off. And she's just in survival mode at this point, and doesn't want to obviously trust anyone. So then we have Hopper seeing a truck filled with dead pumpkins and flies. So he's back on this case of trying to figure out what is going on with these pumpkins. He's talking with a farmer who says that, you know, none of the other farmers have ever seen anything like this, and everyone's crops are dead, right?
Well, and he's blaming the guy that we saw in the first episode, and I think he used the name Eugene. But this is the guy that the other farmer blamed in the first episode.
Yeah. Oh,
because they're like competing pumpkin patch farmers.
Right.
And he blamed Eugene for then poisoning his crops back.
Right.
But then this guy is also saying, but it's not just me. It's literally everybody else too. And so Hopper's now on this like, okay, well maybe something significant is feeding on all these crops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure he has some ideas already.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so he's making a list of all of these names so he can go talk to these farmers, probably see if anyone has seen anything. So then we're with Max's brother saying that she's late again so she can skate her way home, because I guess he's been waiting on her to get to the car. Very big brother thing to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're then off racing down the road, and he's saying it's a shithole and rolls the window down so they can smell the literal manure in this town. So they've come from sunny California, where they're probably more used to the city and being by the beach and having very different aromas. So he's like, this place sucks. You know, he's just not happy about being there at all. And, you know, we're stuck here. So whose fault is it? You know, and they're kind of pointing fingers at each other. She's whispering that it's his fault, but he flips out. And that's where you see this guy is nuts. And he's screaming, you know, to say, whose fault is it really? Like he's trying to then put the blame back on her. It's just like an insane scene, because then you see the boys. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
And as we are not privy to what happened.
Right.
We're not really sure whose fault it is.
Yeah.
But to me, Billy's behavior here is certainly lending the idea that, like, if I keep telling her, hey, you have to admit it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, and you start admitting it and believing it, then it's not really my fault. It is your fault.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe you certainly get from here.
Yeah.
And Max has seemed at school to at least be a reasonable person.
Yeah.
Pretty sarcastic.
Yeah.
But she seems like a relatively normal student.
That's right.
Where then we get this scene with Billy and the boys and their bikes. Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's a great point, Eric, because there's really no rationality that we've seen from Billy, and especially this scene where he's seeing the boys. So now he's seeing them trick-or-treating. Well, just walking.
No, riding their bikes.
I'm sorry,
home.
not trick-or-treating. They're in their Ghostbusters gear, because that's how they went dressed to school, and they are riding their bikes home, and he threatens to hit them with his car. So he is like speeding up and just flying like a madman, like Cruella de Vil down the street, trying to hit them with the car until they dive off the road. And I'm like screaming at my TV, like, just jump, just go off the road. Like, you're never going to bike faster than this car. You need to like get in the grass, right? Which they finally do at the last minute. And then he kind of like swerves to the other side of the road, but it is nuts. It's crazy. This guy is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and here's the other piece to this that I thought was very interesting is we saw all 4 of the boys at school, right? In their Ghostbuster uniforms. Yes. But only 3 of them are riding their bikes back.
Yes.
Will's not with them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, my assumption here is
he got picked
Will's not
up.
riding his bike anywhere.
He got picked up, yeah.
He's not riding his bike to school. No. He's getting picked up at the school. Like, they never mention it. They never say anything about it, but it's just one of those other points to which I question then, like, if you are Dustin or Lucas or Mike's parents, you've also been like associated with this whole thing. Aren't you also picking your kids up from school?
It's apparently, you know what? It's just the Russians.
Or like, can you get Jonathan to like take them all home and just drop them off on the way? Like, there's a way to make that happen. Like, just sending these kids. It is a questionable judgment by the parents.
I agree. Again. Yeah, that's
especially now. Like, we have evidence that that Will is not riding his bike like anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has a bike anymore. It's not happening.
Yeah, that is very true.
So
and then we're with Hopper at a pumpkin patch that is just covered in like black mold, and there's flies
same as the last
over
one.
All the pumpkins. It's lots of like, and then there's a tree with like lots of thick slime all over it, and you know, he's telling the guys to just take pictures, like the other cops, to just take pictures of everything that's dead. And the cops are like, everything? Because literally, then you have this other scene where 2 of the other police officers are walking through these rows of just dead branches, dead pumpkins. I mean, there's nothing that is alive anymore at this area. And he's saying, oh, don't touch anything. No. And then the other cop, the one with the glasses, is like,
he's already been touching
it, like almost like licking it. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Oh gosh, like it's so gross. Yeah. So that.
Well, and the slime on the tree is very reminiscent of the stuff that 11 had to walk through.
Yes.
It's very similar to that stuff that when she came through the portal at the very beginning of this episode, it feels, or I imagine it would be in that same, construct.
And now we're at the Byers' house where Bob is dressed up as Dracula.
Oh, Bob.
And, Will is then running out of the house, and they're telling him to be safe because he's now going to be off trick-or-treating. But he is getting a ride with Jonathan. So Jonathan is, they're having this conversation also about Bob, and, Jonathan is kind of saying, I don't know what Mom sees in him.
Yeah, we get like an actual confirmation that John is like not a fan of Bob's. He's like, what is this guy? Like he's not it. So now we at least know for sure the boys are not just like, oh, okay, like whatever. No, Jonathan does not like Bob. He will tolerate Bob, but that's about as far as he's willing to go right now. Yeah. But most importantly, they have a conversation about trick-or-treating and how Will's basically not allowed to do anything. Like, he's like, it's not like when Mike's going to be out trick-or-treating, Nancy has to go with him.
I know. Yes.
And I think that hits Jonathan pretty hard. And he's like, yeah, I get it. Like, Let's let Will have a little bit of fun here.
Yeah, he doesn't want Jonathan to be babysitting him, and Jonathan is being reminded of this flyer that Nancy had given him about the Halloween party in the last episode as well. And Jonathan, he agrees. He's like, all right, you know what? As long as you're back to Mike's by 9:30 and you stay in this neighborhood, then that's okay. So he's trying to really let off some of these, take off the training wheels a little bit, so to speak, and let him just hang out with his friends and try to be a normal kid again. And then the next scene is at this high school party where the new guy is the keg king, I guess. And
yes.
Yeah. And Nancy...
Did you immediately notice who, Billy's new best friend is?
Oh. Who was it?
It's the same guy that was Steve's friend that, they got in a fight about. It's right, of course. Classic number 2. He's just going to latch on to the next cool guy that walks into the building.
Of course. Yes, of course. And the next troublemaker. It's oh, hey, you're one of us.
What was his name? Tommy? Tommy, I think was
Tommy.
His name.
Thank you. Yeah, Tommy. So Tommy and Billy apparently are now BFFs. And then we see Nancy, who just starts heavy drinking immediately. She's deciding apparently tonight is her night of binge drinking. And Steve is even telling her, whoa, slow down, girl. She reminds him that she's supposed to just be a stupid teenager that night. And, Steve is looking pretty concerned. He's like, oh, okay, I guess here we are. But she's really just struggling with, needing to keep this a secret, as we talked about earlier. So I guess her solution to that is binge drinking. So here we are. And listen, these are high school kids. She doesn't have... I don't think Nancy has a ton of drinking experience here, so she's...
No, this is very, against her character. This is way out of left field for her to not be the responsible one, have Steve looking like he's trying to be the responsible one for her, but she's coping with the ability to have all this information and not be able to do anything with it. And then they're just supposed to go on about their lives and be stupid teenagers. So let's go be stupid teenagers.
Yeah. Yep. And then you have this scene back at the Byers' house where Bob is trying to ease Joyce's mind. He's putting on a record, they're dancing, and he's saying to her, hey, my parents are selling the house in Maine and there's a Radio Shack nearby. He's basically saying, let's get out of here. Let's move. I think in his mind, it's if we just relocate, that will be a solution to bringing us closer together. I think he can sense that there's obviously something that's bothering Joyce here, and there is this block for her.
It's not a horrible thought from Bob.
Right.
And he says the line, because she's like, listen, this isn't a normal family.
Yeah.
And he says, but it could be.
Yeah.
It could be a normal family.
Yeah.
And listen, that's a pretty good pitch to Joyce.
Yeah.
All she wants to do is get back to normal.
Yeah.
And the idea to say, hey, listen, we can pick up, we'll move to Maine. We got a house already there. I got a job opportunity I could take, and we could start fresh and just get away from all this chaos that's kind of left us in this spot, and we could be that normal family. We could do that.
And because, listen, Bob is not a bad guy. He's just doesn't seem to be a great fit for this family, but he would be in way over his head here.
For a family that has done and seen as much as this family has now done in a very short period of time, Bob is just not fitting in.
Yeah.
He's just Mr. Vanilla, and he's a nice guy, and he's trying to do what's best, what he knows is best, but he hasn't experienced any of this stuff. He doesn't know about any of this stuff, and this is they barely do themselves.
Yeah.
But it's awfully hard to trust somebody outside that circle.
Oh, yeah.
At this point.
Absolutely. And then we flash to a scene where the boys are saying trick or treat, but at a different house, because I think the doorbell had rung at the buyer's house, but then it like panned over to this other scene where they open the door and the boys are there, but yeah, different house. It was kind of cool the way that they wove that in there. And, you know, then they're just kind of running off as you do as kids. They're debating their favorite candy, and then all of a sudden Max like shows up and freaks them out kind of out of nowhere, runs up, and I think did she have a Michael Myers like Halloween mask on? It was like one of those like skin masks.
Yeah, she had a mask on. Yeah. I don't remember.
And Dustin,
I mean,
oh my gosh,
I didn't jot it down.
Yeah, Dustin screamed so loud, like this very, very like high pitch scream, and she just is laughing hysterically. And I think the boys, because they have so much experience with being bullied, they're very then skittish, I would say. At that point, they're like, okay, well, she's now gonna bully us, and I guess here we are. But then right after that, she's just laughing and saying, well, come on, let's go. You know, that was
like, let's go. And so
yeah.
She's admitting, like, she's joining the gang. She's like, hey, let's go. Let's do this. Now she's going to be a totally different type of character around them, but maybe somebody that they need to have.
Yeah.
At the same time, Three Musketeers bar, top 3? What do you think of that?
Three Musketeers, I like. There was a point in my life when I was a kid where I did prefer Three Musketeers over Snickers. I've since changed that opinion, but at the time, like, I don't know, I just like the simplicity of it more. I haven't had a Three Musketeers in a long time.
Oh, I haven't had a Three Musketeers bar in forever.
I do like them. I like the dark.
I will say the Three Musketeers is super light, and it feels like you got to be in the right mood for a Three Musketeers bar.
Yeah.
Because it's so unique.
It is.
It's so different from all the other competitors. Now, I'm not really a candy bar person to begin with.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're just taking the bar type of candy, I don't know. I still would have a hard time putting it in the top 3. So I don't know what my top 3 is.
What is your favorite
like
Halloween
difficult.
candy if you just had to pick it?
Oh, Reese's Cups. Well, 100%.
Yeah, same here. Same. The Reese's peanut butter, I mean, you really can't.
Reese's peanut butter cups. And then I'm down to like Sour Patch Kids and that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would say, you know what, the other one, you don't see it quite as often, but the Almond Joy, the coconut with the, oh my gosh, I love Almond Joy. Yeah.
I'm good with Almond Joy. I know, listen, coconut people, coconut haters out there,
you're wrong.
I understand why you don't want Almond Joy and why you don't want Mounds bars and stuff. But if you like coconut, it is the way to go. Mm-hmm. It is it is top. It is towards the top. But I would also rather do like a Crunch bar.
Oh, I loved, than
the Three Musketeers.
That was, as a kid, the Crunch bar was my favorite. That was my ultimate favorite. I really liked just the crispy rice and the milk chocolate. I was very simplistic, the Crunch bar and the Three Musketeers. So I can get on board with that argument as a kid. But your taste to evolve. So
yeah, but the Snickers, the Three Musketeers, like the Milky Way, like those types of bars, they're all like much lower on my Halloween candy list. If we're just talking about bars, I mean, there's only so many of them.
Yeah.
But like, no, I would pass on all of those for other things.
Yeah. Well, and Mike is in this group because Dustin and Lucas and Will are like, sweet, like Max can join us. And then you see Mike's face and he's just like, oh. All right.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did not sign off on this. And
no, but like they said there was like a democracy and it's majority rules and they voted, but I think they never actually voted. Mm-hmm. Mike certainly does not appear as though he knew this was even an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now we have Dustin and Lucas making the vote and it being okay, and so the 2 of the 4 of them at least, or maybe Will voted for it and it was okay, but we never saw that.
Yeah.
But I do find it very interesting that now we have another female character that Dustin and Lucas are clearly, infatuated with at the moment, that Mike is not. Mm-hmm. And Mike is like, well, we can't add her to the group. Meanwhile, that's all he wanted to do with 11 last season was add her to the group.
Yeah, part of me is like, oh, are they just sort of, not worried about counting his vote? Because they're like, listen, Mike, you didn't ask us to vote 11 in. She was just going to be there, and, we didn't have a choice in the matter. So, yeah, they probably weren't really too concerned with that. But that was a little bit of a different experience or different situation, right?
Dustin would have voted 11. Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we're with Hopper, where he realizes he is super late getting home to be with Elle.
Compromise fail.
Compromise fail, buddy. You had just given that whole speech about it, and they were going to watch movies and eat candy, and he is really late now, but he got caught up in his police work. So he races off. And then he is trying to send this Morse code for late to 11. And there's this flashback where she was in the woods. 11 was in the woods picking up the food that Hopper had left her in that little container where he had left like the Eggos and everything. So she found it and ran off. So I guess in this moment, we're realizing, was Hopper, I think he was just rolling the dice and thinking, she's out there, and if she is, she will eventually find this, and then I'll keep restocking it. Like he was kind of setting a little trap, in a sense.
I don't think we have enough information.
Yeah, and I'm not remembering how that...
Clearly, 11 is going through the woods. She finds the bin. She finds the food. She takes the food, and off she goes. Mm-hmm. We, as watchers, have no idea how she knew this bin was there, how he knew that she was out there. Mm-hmm. This is all still a mystery to us as rewatchers watching at this point in time.
Yeah.
So there is definitely something. All I know is at the end of season 1, Hopper got picked up in a car and got taken away. Mm-hmm. And then the next time we saw him, he was dropping off food.
True.
So something happened in between getting picked up in the car and dropping off the food that he learned information. Mm-hmm. And somewhere along the lines, 11 had to stumble upon this box situation or be told that there was a box that she could get food at.
Yeah. Yep.
And we'll see how this plays itself out.
That's right, because for now, we're then back with Dustin and Lucas and Mike and Will and Max, trick-or-treating, and Dustin and Lucas are talking with Max, trying to sound, I guess, more Californian. They're saying totally tubular.
Yeah.
And trying to be like surfers and pick up her lingo a little bit and make conversation. And then you see Mike and Will kind of trailing in the back, and Mike is asking Will, did you agree to having Max come with us? And, he said he'd figured he'd be okay with it. So I think Will is just very easygoing too, and he's just like, oh, whatever. So I don't know if he had an official vote or not.
Yeah, I mean,
he kind of implies that he did. He just figured that Mike would be fine.
Yeah, I took that as they asked him. He was like, oh yeah, like I don't have a problem with it. And he's like, we're just trick-or-treating. Like we're at, like, bring a whole group of people, right? Exactly. Like it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, Will then pictures masked people calling him zombie boy and a freak, and he's knocked over and then in the upside down. So
now you say he pictured this. Do you think that didn't exist?
I don't think it did. But do you think that they were, I don't know.
I thought it did. Yeah, I would imagine that older teenage boys would absolutely do that.
Yeah, you're right, because it's not like their costume had masks, so they're just seeing him and then taking that opportunity to just bully him. No, you're right. It happened so suddenly, and it was just so mean. I'm thinking, really? But
yeah. I think that's fairly accurate. And some of them had masks on, but either way, like they just jumped out and kind of scared him. And from our perspective, like we just see this like Like it's one, then another, then a third, and then Will falls back, and when he falls back, he drops right into the upside down.
Yeah, and then he's calling for Mike and wondering what the heck happened here. He's seeing that huge plume of smoke again in the distance, and it's turning into that giant spider demon. So,
but it's not that far in the distance. It's a whole
right.
lot closer now.
Oh, yeah, it's much closer than when they were at the arcade.
Yeah.
And it was like way in the distance. You're right. This is much closer than that. And, then Will is running away and he's going down these steps and really just putting his hands over his head and just trying to hide, make himself small. And the smoke, you see it coming down the steps. It's like the smoke is chasing him until Mike finds him and brings him out of it. And he's asking, "Are you okay? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And, Mike helps Will and snaps at Dustin for, keep trick-or-treating. I'm bored anyway, right? Because then Dustin and Lucas are also down there wondering what's going on. But Mike is being very aggressive at this point and just like, listen, like I'll take care of Will. You just do your thing. He's being
right. Yeah. It's not a good look for Mike. But I understand Mike wanting to take care of Will. That to me makes sense.
Yeah, but they all do. Come on.
Of course they do. They all want to do that. The way that he treats Dustin and Lucas is really out of character for what we know Mike to be so far. Now, it might not be out of character for him as we go forward throughout the whole thing, but it is at this point not friendly at all, not helpful at all, not wanting to be a team at all, but now we're seeing, though, maybe the jealous side of Mike show up as another girl has entered the fray and he's not interested in her because he's still missing 11.
Exactly.
And the other boys are far more interested in Max, who is actively here.
Yeah, I think this is such a realistic, scene here where it's like, that's right, he's still grieving 11, and these guys are just wanting to move on. And he's just like, why are you ready to move on? Like, he's still trying to make contact with 11. He's still using his walkie-talkie trying to reach out to her, and they're just ready to just replace her, is what it feels like. So he's really angry about it. And I think
that's certainly how he feels.
Yeah. And I think as 13-year-old boys at this point, that just makes a whole lot of sense. And he's just like, you know what? I've got this. Forget it. Whether it's right or wrong is a different story. But I think that is
I will say this scene for me is probably the most memorable scene I have when I think back on the early parts of season 2. Like I remember this scene vividly where Will was running away and hiding, and then Mike finds him, and the smoke is chasing him through the upside down. And my whole thought too is, man, Will, like, don't run.
I know.
Like if you run, like they'll never find you. Like they're not going to know where you repopulate.
Oh, the boys.
At.
Right.
Like they can't see you.
Yeah.
So if you just like curl up in a ball where you're sitting at, and then when you snap back to the real world, you'll be right at their feet.
Right.
But if you run, how is Mike ever going to like find you?
Well, I guess the idea is that in the real world, I don't know how else to like phrase that, but in present tense for them, like Mike is also seeing everything that's happening, right? So like as Will is running off, Mike is like right behind him, running after him, because it's like, wait, where is he going? He just fell down, he got up, and from Mike's perspective, he's just running off. And but yeah, that's a good point. I guess that is such a natural instinct though, because he doesn't know what would have happened if he hadn't run. Would this thing have hurt him? I don't know. So I think
you don't know.
Right.
You don't know, so you got to run.
Yeah.
But I also understand the idea of saying, if I move, then I've moved on the other side too, and then how are they going to find me?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Anyway,
Yeah.
We now get to John showing up at the party.
Yeah, he's sitting outside and in his car. I got the impression that he might have been sitting outside contemplating, do I really want to do this or not, for a while.
Well, he doesn't have a ton of friends that are his age.
This is not his scene.
Like, this is just not his spot. And it's like, do I really want to walk into this?
Yeah.
And like get bullied and made fun of? Like, I'm volunteering to go into this spot. Why would I do that?
Yeah. And I love this first interaction he has when he goes into the party and this girl comes up to him and she's like, nice costume. He's like, yeah, I'm going as the guy who hates parties. Because he's not in a costume at all. And, he immediately witnesses, Nancy trying to continue to binge drink, and Steve is telling her to stop, which causes her to spill fruit punch all over herself. So she has this like white, is she supposed to be olive oil? Is that what she was? Olive oil?
I wasn't honestly sure what they were supposed to be. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have told you in a million years what those costumes were.
Yeah, didn't look it up.
Olive oil and Popeye makes a lot of sense.
I guess, yeah. So either way,
but you could have done a much better Popeye costume for sure. And olive oil, I don't know what they were.
Yeah. So she had red.
Like I don't know that I don't know that I believe that that's truly what it is. It could have been though.
Yeah.
It did look that way.
Yeah.
But I will say the girl talking with Jonathan I thought was very promising because like he walks in and there's a very friendly conversation. They go back and forth a little bit here, and it's like, hey, the first person that he runs into isn't a complete jerk to him. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe there are more people out there that will be nice, and like, it's a positive interaction to start the party scene for him.
Okay, so I had to just look this up really quick. So Nancy and Steve were dressed up as Joel Goodson and Lana from Risky Business. So I was way off on that.
Thank you, because I'm like, that Popeye costume is not accurate.
I know. I don't know why that's yeah.
That I didn't know what they were dressed up as. Yeah. Olive oil's not a bad shout though.
Yeah.
Like that, it was similar to that kind of look. But Popeye, he would have had like red and blue on and like some fake muscles and stuff. Like he had like a leather jacket.
And now
Risky Business.
Yeah, and now actually, Eric, this is making me think that my guess on which Tom Cruise poster was on Nancy's wall in season 1, that I guess was a Risky Business reference.
Had to be.
Yeah, because now we have them dressed up this way. And
right. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, and oh man, it's been a while since I've seen Risky Business. That's a great movie. But yeah, then we're in the bathroom with Nancy where she is like trying to take off the punch with paper towels, and Jonathan's kind of like, I don't think that's gonna be working, to fix this.
No, she stained her entire shirt and she's like white. Getting paper towels and like trying to it's like, okay.
No, it's over. Yeah.
It's not happening.
So it's Halloween, pretend it's blood, right? So
there you go. Just walk on. It'll be fine.
Yeah, well, she's really drunk at this point, and she's telling Steve it's bullshit. You're pretending everything is okay, like we didn't kill Barb, like everything is okay, and her speech is slurring, and she just keeps saying, this is bullshit, everything is bullshit, and he's like, well, even us? And, we're in love.
She doubles down.
And she's like, it's bullshit. And she just looks at him. And at that point, Steve just is like, out of there. He's like, well, you don't love me? And he's asking her that directly, which I'm like, oh, God. I mean, listen, they're in high school. Asking her that in this moment, it's like, oh, dude. Oh, yep.
This is not the time that you're going to get a real answer.
Yeah, so she's saying, well, or do you, right? Like the argument
or maybe the most real answer. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so she's saying it's bullshit, and Jonathan is witnessing Steve leaving the bathroom, and he knows that Nancy is still in there, right? So he's
on the other side.
He's just kind of, witnessing everything that's going on around them. And then we're back with Will and Mike, where Will, they're at the Wheeler's house in the basement on the couch, and Will is telling Mike about what he experienced. And I really applaud. I like that Will is being really open and forthcoming with his friends and his family and the doctor about like what's going on, right? Because especially with his friends, because sometimes like depending on the kid or the person, they might just be keeping all of this inside. So I just appreciate that in Will's character. And he's saying, you know, I saw something, and Mike is asking, was it the demogorgon? And he, you know, he's trying to explain, no, it was this huge shadow, but it was alive and coming for me. You know, and then Mike is also telling Will that 11 would understand. And sometimes, this is Eric, what you were referencing, sometimes he feels like he can still see her.
Yeah.
But he also might be going crazy. And they agree that, you know what, maybe let's just go crazy together. At least we have each other. And I think like this kind of reestablishes that, you know, they really are best friends. You know, they're really close. And so at least they have each other to confide in. And then you jump over to a scene with Jonathan bringing Nancy home from the party. So he is like helping her out of the car into her house, somehow manages to bring her all the way upstairs and into her room. I'm like, they did not climb up the roof of the garage at this point. So where the Wheeler parents are again, Eric?
Oh my gosh.
Eric is rubbing his head. Yeah.
Just
it's
like, well, I mean, there's no way he got her up the ladder through the window. Like they went right through the front door. Right through the front door.
Through
yeah.
the front door.
I mean, and they were walking, like we don't actually see that, but they were walking in that direction. That's how they went in the house.
That's right. And yeah. And Jonathan is tucking her into bed, and you know, she recognizes
him though. She recognizes that he's the one putting her there, and then she like passes out.
Yeah. It was a rough night for Nancy. So then we're with Hopper, where he arrives home finally, and he does their door knock at the door to try to signal to 11. And she's not having it. She's like, you know what? Screw you.
Yeah.
I'm staying inside.
Yeah.
And she is not happy at all. And, you know, he's saying, hey, kid, open up. I know I'm late. I have candy. And she finally, I love this. She opens the door, but it's with her mind. Because she doesn't want to. I'm like, wow, that would have really come in handy. Right? So she's opening the door with her mind, and she is in her bedroom with the television. So she has dragged the TV into her room because she doesn't even want to be around him. But she still wants her TV. But then you realize what she's doing in there. She puts the television on static. So a channel that has no signal.
Yes, kids, that would be when your TV had more channels than were available. You could move up to a certain channel when all was like this white snow, static noise, nothing.
Yes.
That existed in our life. And
not too long ago.
No, but that white noise operates as a help to kind of put her into this zone where she also has a blindfold.
That's right. Yeah, she's putting the blindfold on, and then she is teleported back. Well, not teleported. Her mind is transported back to that black space, right? So she's then seeing Mike talking to the walkie-talkie, trying to contact her, and he's saying, if you're out there, give me a sign. And she is saying, Mike, you know, she's saying his name.
She gets real close to
him. Moment,
yeah,
right? Because he's like sitting in her fort in the basement, and she's walking up to it, trying to communicate with him, and he can hear her for a moment, it seems. But again, like he just said to Will, he's probably am I imagining that? Am I actually hearing her?
Yeah.
Like,
and
he's not really.
She reaches out to touch him.
Yes.
And then he gets up and walks away.
Yeah. right at the last minute there. So, then we're with Dustin arriving back home, and his trash can is still making all sorts of crazy noises again, and it starts shaking violently and gurgling. And so he's walking toward it. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, Dustin, we don't know what is going to happen here. And I love how he pulls out like his costume's weapon.
Yeah, the proton pack gets like the laser pointed at it. I forget what they call the actual gun part of it. But he's got it pointed at the trash can. They take the top of the trash can off, and he looks down and he goes, holy, end of episode. Screen goes black.
Good. Love that. Yeah. Great ending.
Good ending.
Episode. And I am, Eric, are you remembering what he finds?
Yes.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
I didn't recall at first when the trash can was moving.
Oh, yeah. No, I remembered immediately upon that.
Oh, you did?
I was like,
okay.
oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that is so funny.
But we'll get to that in the next one. All right, so now we're going to jump into our IMDb ranking of this episode and also our favorite and least favorite characters. So I'll jump in here first. I will say my least favorite character in this episode is Mike. And I went back and forth with a few different ones. I thought about Nancy for a little while. I thought, I don't love the fact that Steve just up and left her there. I don't love that from him. But I like enough of what he's done that he's progressed enough. Nancy had very few, both the Wheeler kids, I think, had very few moments of positivity. But Mike, it just seems so against his character at this juncture to be unaccepting of having Max after he basically spent all season pleading with Lucas to accept having 11 be part of the group. It is so opposite from what I would expect him to do, but I understand the jealous nature that he's going through. I think that's how I'm going to interpret it. I also understand that he is still he's still trying to deal with the loss, the grief that he's dealing with, I guess, of having 11 no longer be around. That being said, there were so many things that he did that were just against what I would have thought that he would do, especially after meeting 11. You would think that he would be more welcoming of more people.
Yeah, I think that I totally get that choice. And I think that like you hit the nail on the head with it being grief, though. I think that it's almost like, you lose someone in your life too, and a replacement coming in so soon, which is how he's, I think, thinking about this in his mind. It's just too soon. And so he's just not dealing with it well.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So I get that choice. And you mentioned the person that I picked, who is Nancy for this, which again, like, listen, I understand it, right? Because I get it. She's a teenager. She is going also through a tremendous amount of grief, not knowing how to handle it. But yeah, she's just not handling it well, getting drunk and flipping out at Steve, saying it's all bullshit, their love. Oh, Nancy. Yeah, it was really rough, and put herself in a really, potentially dangerous situation, being now at a party alone. It's like, also not great for Steve to just leave her there. It's like, Steve.
Also, I mean, you could certainly make a very clear argument for Billy in this one as well.
Oh, God,
Billy has no positive marks at all at this juncture.
Yeah.
So
trying to run down the kids, that would be an easy choice there too.
But I think the funny thing about Billy is, for a while, he will be a not likable character, and I will pick him a number of times. I'm sure.
That's exactly how I thought of it. I'm like, yeah, he's going to be the highlight of just our disdain. Definitely.
Yeah, for at least a little while. For a little while, for
episodes,
sure.
Right. Yeah. So, and, for my favorite for this episode, which I have picked him a couple times, but again, it's like Jonathan, he's the best here, right? Like, he's by Will's side. He is agreeing to have more flexibility so he doesn't have to be Will's babysitter. He's trying to be there for Will, but also like be there for him as like a supportive brother and like, hey, give him a little bit more freedom, So I think he's just understanding where he's at, but also trying to allow him to be a kid. And again, just being that guy who's there for Nancy again. If he hadn't been there for her, I don't even know. She probably just would have passed out at the party in a corner somewhere, and like, who knows? She was, he was there for her. It was just such a great move because, he knows that she's now with Steve, but has his maturity, I feel like at this point really shines through. Like, he is way more mature than any of the other kids.
No, for sure. I think Jonathan is kind of representing all of the positives that Steve lacks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a little bit more mature. He's just a little bit more sensitive of, the needs that Nancy has in that moment. He's also representing being like the best big brother you could ever potentially have. Like, that is, especially for someone who's, I'm assuming at least like 3 years older. There's enough of an age gap there that sometimes, those sorts of siblings that have a 3, 4, 5 year age gap are not necessarily always in the same space. Okay, so then my favorite character, I also have Jonathan. I think he's been fantastic throughout this whole thing. I also will, though, give a shout out to Dustin. I think Dustin was really good in this episode. I just enjoyed his character, watching him try to get Max involved and be tubular and all those little fun things. And why Dustin and not Lucas? Well, because we get the scene with Dustin at the end with the trash can, which is a really cool ending to the story. But I could have picked Dustin or Lucas up until that moment. I also I find it more interesting or more funny to be the character who doesn't know what presumptuous is rather than the one that does. So I guess I kind of lean a little bit towards Dustin in that scene as well. That being said, I'll still stick with Jonathan. So Jonathan wins the day, I think, as far as both of us are concerned.
Yeah.
So now we can jump into our actual ratings here on the episode. And I will say this, just for some historic reference, 8.6 is the average.
Yeah.
In season 1, the highest was chapter 8. That was a 9.3. The lowest was chapter 2, which was an 8.3. And Mad Max, episode 1 of season 2, is actually the lowest all time as an 8.1. Now, my episode last week, I gave an 8.42. I'm going to give this a 7.9. I think this is the lowest rated episode to date. I don't think there's a lot going on here. I think there is very little in the Upside Down outside of 11 and her like journey back, which is all at the very beginning. I really dislike Mike's character in this. I really dislike Nancy's character in all of this. I think this is one of those episodes that helps sets us up for the future.
Yeah.
But as a standalone, I think it very well may fall out of the 8s.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I could see that. I guess I gave this one an 8.3. I do still really...
So you like this one a little bit more than last week's? You gave last week an 8.2.
Yes, I do. I like this one more than last week's because I feel like you saw them really come together again, for trick-or-treating, and really got to like see where their characters are headed. So while it might not have been appealing to, a lot of them, like Mike and Nancy, they really didn't shine so brightly in these episodes. It still gave that really good, I felt like the acting was great by all the kids, and I just really liked the Halloween theme, I guess, of this one. And so I appreciated that. Maybe it was just also a timing thing for me, since it's almost Halloween here.
I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I do genuinely like the trick or treat.
Yeah.
Like piece of it, and the Halloween costumes and all that. And it does help that it is for us also timing at that time of year, which is when I suppose this probably released.
Yeah. And I like that you got a chance to like see Billy's personality a little bit more too, where he almost ran down the kids on the street. It's
well, he actually had lines in this episode.
Yes.
He didn't have any lines in the last one. He just kind of showed up and walked.
That's right. Yeah. So
but that being said, it's just, we haven't seen an episode get into the 7s yet.
No.
I don't know. I don't know that this will get there. I don't know that we'll ever see one get there. But if there's going to be one, to me, this is it, because there's just not a lot of development either, in my opinion.
It's true. I do like, though, how we saw how Elle returned. Like, we thought, obviously at the end of the last episode, you learned that she's in the cabin, but then you see how all of that unfolded from her perspective. I like that piece of it a lot.
That is my favorite part.
Yeah. Where she is, climbing through the wall, seeing the Wheeler's house, then surviving in the woods for, it didn't really tell us how long. But that whole idea of, okay, we start this episode with Elle having like just defeated the demogorgon. And now where do we go from there, and how did she survive? I really like that piece. Really like that piece. I do like the trick-or-treating. But I feel like outside of that, there's not lots to love here. And I feel like I'm just so like, I think what throws me is when characters act outside of how I would have expected them to act. Nancy is way out of bounds. Mike is way out of bounds. Like, now we get Billy, and I'm just like, oh, this is not what I was anticipating walking into this. For me, though, Eric, I feel like they acted exactly as I would expect them to act going through what they did. Like, it would be bizarre if they didn't. So
that's fair. That's fair.
So they're they're not showcasing the best parts of their personality, but it also makes a whole lot of sense here. It
does. It does. And like, here's the thing. To me, these things will lead to bigger and better things down the line.
That's right.
I am a big fan of the episode that bridges, from A to B, right? Like, we have to get from this stuff and we have to get to here. So this is how we have to take the route. And I have no problem with that. And when you look back at this episode in the grand scheme of the whole, I think it's going to make a ton of sense and be very good.
Yeah. And
that being said, as a standalone one-off episode where there's very little action and there's not even a ton of great storytelling, I feel this might be the lowest rated.
Hey, maybe. I also did like the when Paul Reiser's character, what was his name again? I forget. Dr. Owen, was it?
Dr. Owens.
Yeah. When him watching the live feed of the Upside Down was also pretty cool, because it's like, wait, what? They can actually record in there and see what's going on. And they're replacing that battery. I mean,
yeah. That scene to me struck kind of like in the first episode of this season where we meet 8, for lack of a better word, where we see that there's somebody else out there with the powers, that she's got the 8 tattoo on. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, we see that, but that's all we ever saw from that. So what do we do with that?
Right. Like, we've never seen those kids again either. So we don't know where. We didn't even have like a moment with them in this episode.
No. All we know, really, the most important thing we learned from the 8 tattoo is like, 11 is 11. Like, there's 11 of them at least.
Right.
Okay, that being said, I'm pulling up the numbers right now. Okay, so this episode clocks in as an 8.2.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
So, right in between where we were.
Yep.
And a little bit closer to you than to me.
Yep.
But I will say that this season is starting off with the lowest and second lowest rated episodes of Stranger Things to date, to what we've seen so far, which is accurate, I think. Yeah, if I stack all these episodes together,
right,
I think these are towards the bottom.
Yeah. And because the viewer, like, we don't really, there's a lot of stage setting where it's like, we don't really know where this is going yet, right? Like, everyone loved the first season, was so great. You had Elle with the boys, they're all working together. And now it's kind of like, well, Elle is like off in this cabin somewhere. Like, where is this going? And we don't get a lot of Elle, right? Which I think is everyone's favorite character. And so it's like, she's not really out there with them. I feel like when they all join back up together and we start seeing Elle more, that's really where the numbers are going to start climbing again. Yeah,
because we don't have 11, so we don't have any of the powers that she brings to the story. We don't have a whole lot of Upside Down, nor do we even know what's out there really. And the most like action is fields of pumpkins that are destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not action, really. There's not any like scene that really knocks your socks off here. So it's not stunning to me that these two are towards the bottom. Yeah. I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be curious if this one doesn't get there, will we ever get an episode that drops into the 7s?
I feel like maybe not in this season, but in the next season, I don't know. I feel like season 3 did take some different twists and turns that maybe wasn't always like.
See, I would say that about season 4.
Okay.
Season 4. No, don't get me wrong.
They all take twists and turns, I guess, but yeah.
They do.
You're right.
I love the second half of season 4.
Yes.
But I do question some of the first half of season 4.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So like, we'll see. I'll be interested in how I rate those ones.
Yeah.
But okay, so we got an 8.2 though for chapter 2 of season 2.
Well, and Eric, I do want to throw in just a couple pieces of trivia here. The first piece was with their costumes. It was noted that Will's costume was a bit more stripped down than all the other boys with their Ghostbusters gear on. And that was really meant to drive home the point that it's like the buyers just don't have as much money, right? Like Dustin had more bells and whistles on his costume, whereas Will's just didn't have as many details.
That would make sense. I don't know that I even noticed that, but that would be that would be accurate.
And the other thing was so Bob had this video camera that he was using at the house recording everyone. It was the same JVC video camera that Marty McFly used in Back to the Future. So another.
Oh, how about that?
Just because if you guys have been listening to multiple episodes, I like to drop just random things about Back to the Future because it's my favorite movie, and Eric loves it too. So just thought. And
did you know? Thing. Yeah. Did you know that this week was Back to the Future Day, National Back to the Future Day?
Know that. Yeah.
It was October 21st.
Yes.
10/21.
Yeah.
For 1.21.
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
It was a real thing.
Yeah.
I had it on my board at school.
Well,
yeah.
It's been 40 years. And there is I think I had mentioned this in another episode that there's viewings all around the country on Halloween night to see Back to the Future in theaters. So,
well, I also think, what was it, on October 25th, which we are recording this on the 26th, but on the 25th yesterday, it was officially 40 years since he got in he was late for school on the first day.
Yes.
Was
exactly.
October 25th that day.
Yes. Yeah.
So there you go.
Pretty cool.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, we appreciate all the support that we have gotten so far from them. If you could check out our website at werunonreruns.com, where we have all of these podcasts in full, not to mention Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you can find a podcast. For Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching Stranger Things Chapter 3 this week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.